أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين فإن أطعنكم فلا تبغوا عليهن سبيلا إن الله كان عليا كبيرا. Then if they obey you, do not seek any course of action against them. Indeed, Allah is all exalted, all great. This was the remaining part of verse number 34, which talked about the problems which may arise in the family and how it must be resolved. Now, there were a few courses of action mentioned in the verse that husbands should take. Now here it says, but if they, means your wives, obey, ata'nakum, obey you, then do not seek any course of action against them. Now, in the meaning of in ata'nakum, this ita'a, this compliance, may mean a couple of things, and فَلَا تَبْغُوا عَلَيْهِنَّ سَبِيلًا, especially فَلَا تَبْغُوا عَلَيْهِنَّ سَبِيلًا may mean a couple of things. First of all, أَطَعْنَكُمْ means that if they comply with requirements of the marital relationship. And one of the important matters which is mentioned also in our narrations is that compliance is enough. If nushuz is not there, then you should not be pinpointing on other matters. Especially, you cannot penetrate the hearts of your wives unless by good behavior. I mean, in this way, you cannot make your wife to love you. And therefore, it is said that do not expect from them that they should love you, because love is something which is in the heart, and you can never create it by those measures. Those measures is only for compliance. If you want real love between yourselves, then you have to seek other measures which produces love, rather than trying to be harsh and things like that, or by being sulky, or by leaving the bed or things like that. These things would not create love. So this ata'nakum here, فَإِنْ ata'nakum, means only compliance in the superficial way. And that's enough, that you have no way. فَلَا تَبْغُوا عَلَيْهِنَّ سَبِيلًا, do not seek any other course against them. You cannot expect more than compliance if you want to take those measures. Whatever that you need more than that, then of course there are other things, other factors which would come in. And that's why فَلَا تَبْغُوا عَلَيْهِنَّ سَبِيلًا has been explained in this way, that you cannot take any other course of action to force them to love you or something like that. And then at the end of the verse, two main names of Allah is mentioned. Inna Allah kana aliyan kabira. Allah is Ali and Kabir. Ali is from Ulov. And Ulov means transcendence, means highness, exaltedness. And Kabir, of course, is greatness, immensely great. Now, why these two names of Allah? Or by some tolerance, we can say these two attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because as you know, we do not believe that God has any attribute beside His essence. Whatever we call an attribute is just the essence seen from different perspectives. And that's why the Quran calls them names rather than attributes. وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى, or mathal, لِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى. So These two names are mentioned here, and the commentators have suggested some views that why at the end of this verse these two names are used, Aliyan Kabira. Now, a couple of suggestions I just read for you here. For example, Baydawi mentions fear God because you may have some authority over your wives. And the authority, as we mentioned, because of certain matters, if you, of course, meet some conditions, then Allah has given you that authority. And you have to know that Allah's authority over you is stronger. It's real authority, not given authority. And therefore you have to fear God in relation to the way you behave with your wives. Or he says another meaning is that Ali means uluw sha'nihi, despite his high standing, despite his transcendence, despite his greatness, whenever you make some mistake or whenever you forget something, he overlooks. يَتَجَاوَزُ عَنْ سَيِّئَاتِكُمْ. And he overlooks, forgives, comes back to you with his grace, and therefore you have conduct yourself in that way. Or another meaning is that Aliyan Kabira with Uluv and Kabriya means that he is above the idea of even thinking that he may wrong anyone. He's beyond that, he's above that, he's higher than that. And therefore, you shouldn't think that these measures or these rulings are for wronging anyone. It is just to make the life more amicable. And another meaning which has been mentioned in Majma' al-Bayan is that, remember, he has power to revenge not in the sense of somehow appeasing the heart, but in the sense that take the right of others. And if you wrong your wives, then he is Aliyan Kabira. Or despite his Uluv and Kabriya, he never expects you to do something more than what you can. And you should not expect that from your wives with this loose authority that Allah has given you over them. Anyhow, this is the end of verse number 34, and the verse number 35 is actually a continuation of that. It says, if these measures do not work, and you fear that they will have animosity, and they may have discord and split, then وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ شِقَاقَ بَيْنِهِمَا فَابْعَثُوا حَكَمًا مِّنْ أَهْلِهِ وَحَكَمًا مِّنْ أَهْلِهَا إن يريد إصلاحا يوفق الله بينهما إن الله كان عليما خبيرا. Now these two other names of Allah are mentioned here, which we will discuss that inshallah. إن الله كان عليما خبيرا. And if you fear discord and breach between the couple, then appoint an arbitrator from his family, an arbitrator from her family. If they both desire to refine their relationship, Allah will effect harmony between the couple. Verily, Allah is the informed, knowing. As the husbands were addressed in the previous verse, here the families of the couples, or the authorities in the society, or both the couples themselves, are addressed to seek some other measures for amelioration of the conflict and disagreement which arises between wife and husband. And this shows that this is not a one-way road that only husband dictates and wife should agree. If the disagreement and discord is really serious, then it's both wife and husband that should seek to do something about it. Now, إن خفتم شقاق بينهما, if you fear the discord, you have to do something to ameliorate, to remove that discord, is actually one instance of the general rule that we have in the Quran, which is mentioned at the beginning of Surah Al-Anfal, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَأَصْلِحُوا ذَاتَ بَيْنِكُمْ. Be wary of Allah and settle your differences among yourselves. And these differences that arises between wife and husband, as I said, usually we think that according to Islamic law, it's a one-way course, only husbands dictate and wives should follow. It's not the case. Of course, the measures which were mentioned in the previous verse are to bring husband and wife together. Now, if that doesn't work, then both husband and wife have to seek some sort of some other course of action, which is here mentioned as appointing arbitrators. So the first thing is that family issues should be resolved inside family. And if it doesn't work, then they should seek help from outside. Of course, the family issues must be kept inside family as much as is possible, unless if wife and husband want to seek counseling or something like that. However, if these don't work, then they may take this to a court or to the family, to other members, the elder members of the family. So as we will see, this address, there's a disagreement who is the addressee of khiftum or fab'athu, appoint. So the meaning of the verse is that وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ, khiftum, if you fear, and then fab'athu, you appoint. The khiftum means alimtum, if you know, or it means if you expect, if you worry. And this is a better meaning, because if that shaqaq is established, then it is difficult to resolve it. As soon as you see the signs of this shaqaq, as soon as you see that the breach is coming, then of course you have to فَابْعَثُوا حَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهِ وَحَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهَا. So you should not let these two get to a point where it is not possible to resolve it anymore. Before that, if you just become worried about that, إِنْ خِفْتُمْ شِقَاقَ بَيْنِهِمَا فَابْعَثُوا حَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهِ وَحَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهَا. Now the question is, who is the addressee of فَابْعَثُوا, appoint? Now, in Tibyan, he reports from Sa'id ibn Jubair and also أكثر الفقهاء, most of the jurists, that the فَابْعَثُوا is addressed to the sultan, the one who has authority in the society, and that is the court. Of course, nowadays it's the court. The court must do that. They take their case to the court, and the court, before deciding anything, must appoint an arbitrator from his family and arbitrator from her family. But there are other views here. For example, some others have said that it is the families that have to do that, or it is the couple themselves that have to do that. that the wife should say that I want an arbitrator between us, and the husband agrees, or vice versa, and then this happens. Or we may say that any one of them is good. I mean, taking it to the court, or they themselves appoint حكمين فابعثوا حكما من أهله وحكما من أهلها إن يريد إصلاحا يوفق الله بينهما. If they intend, Islah is of course conciliation, bring them together, refine the relationship. أن يريد إصلاحا. Now, the pronoun in yurida, which refers to two persons, now it may refer to wife and husband if they intend that. Of course, if they do not intend, no one can reconcile between them. And some others say no, if these yurida, the two, refers to the arbitrators. If the arbitrators really want to solve the problem, and they do not get involved in family tensions and just bringing old baggages of hatred in, if that's not the case, and they really want to make the relationship peaceful, then يوفق الله بينهما. Allah will make that to happen. Allah will effect harmony. And this is very important, that this harmony, because it relates to hearts, if the intention is there. Now, if we say that this refers to wife and husband especially, it means that this arbitration should not be with bitterness, should not be for separation. It is with the intention to join, not to cut off. And if they really want that, Allah will effect harmony in their lives. And this is one of the miracles of the goodwill. And goodwill brings in the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إن يريد إصلاحا يوفق الله بينهما. And then at the end it says, إن الله كان عليما حكيما. Allah is all-knowing, well-informed. And why these two names again are mentioned here? Because it means that Allah knows what is in the hearts. And the difference between Alim and Habir, Habir is more knowing about the particulars, and Alim is knowing in general, and he knows particularly what is in the heart of the wife and the husband, or he knows about the intention of the arbitrators. Now, one question which is mentioned in books of tafsir and in books of fiqh with regarding this arbitration is that whether the arbitrators are agents and attorneys that can enforce even talaq and divorce, or no, they do not have such an authority. They only have the authority to ameliorate, to reconcile between the two. And if the right of divorce is given to them, it is a separate thing. It is something that should be given by the husband and wife separately. They are only appointed for reconciliation, not for separation and divorce. If we say that they are wakil, they are agents or attorneys, act as attorney for the wife and husband, then we may say that yes, they have the right of attorney to divorce as well. But if we say they are only arbitrators, they don't have that. Now, Shaykh Tusi rahmatullah alayhi says that according to our fiqh, They are only arbitrators. They cannot enforce a divorce. However, according to other madhahib, they say that they are wakil and agent and they can enforce. They mentioned a hadith which they report from Imam Ali alayhi salam, which apparently Shaykh Tusi does not accept this hadith. That's why he said that they do not have the right to divorce. Now the hadith says that جاء رجل وامرأة إلى علي عليه السلام ومع كل واحد منهما فئام من الناس. Once the couple went to Imam Ali alayhi salam to settle their dispute, each accompanied by a large crowd of people from their relatives. Apparently this had spread in the families. When they selected their arbiters, the Imam said, wait until I teach you what you should do to the arbiters. The Imam said to the arbiters, if you want to act according to this verse, let me tell you what to do. Do you know what is your responsibility? If you see that you can bring them together, you bring them together. And if you see that you have to separate them, you separate them. So this is giving them the right of attorney. Then he turned to the wife and asked, do you consent to their judgment? She said, yes, I consent to whatever the book of God says in favor of me or against me. Then the Imam asked the same question to the husband, but he replied, no, I only consent if they amend our relationship, but I do not consent if they want to separate between us. Imam Ali told him, that is not right. You cannot proceed unless you consent to what she consented. Now, as I said, this is something according to which some Sunni fuqaha have issued fatwa that they have the power of attorney. However, this hadith is not apparently accepted. The chain of transmission is not accepted by our fuqaha, and they said that the arbiter can only issue a divorce between the couple if they have given them the right of attorney, the power of attorney. They are agents rather than arbitrators. And if not, then of course they are only hakams, arbitrators, and they have less legal entitlements than a wakil or an agent. Now, going into the tadabbur of the Quran, we have a very interesting way of approach to verses of the Quran, and that is by doing tadabbur, reflection, and finding out what the verse really wants to tell us beyond the apparent meaning of the verse. In this, with this approach, there is a tafsir called Tafsir Rahnama, guiding tafsir, written by the late Hashimi Rafsanjani, which is very interesting, the way we can get some points from certain verses. And we can, of course, use it in every verse of the Quran. Here I want to mention what is actually understood from the verse in Tafsir al-Rahnama. The themes which we can take from every verse. If you fear a split between the two of them, then appoint an arbiter. Now, what we can understand is that the necessity of appointing arbiters as soon as symptoms of a split appear, symptoms of discord, not letting it to become tense, not letting it to become old and then not something that could be resolved. So the symptoms must be detected either by the couple or by the family, or if they take it to the court should realize what the situation is. The other thing which we understand is the necessity of protecting family and making its atmosphere calm and peaceful. Isn't it? I mean, the verse gives great importance to the peaceful relationship in the family. And that's why it involves the government or authorities represented by the court or the extended family. It wants to bring everyone in to keep the family together. And then he says, what we understand from the next sentence, then appoints an arbitrator from his relatives and an arbitrator from her relatives, is that the responsibility of the society as a whole vis-a-vis family problems is stressed here. فَابْعَثُوا, you should appoint. Immediately, as soon as you see this, family is not something that could be weakened, could be underestimated. This is the core of the bigger community. And unfortunately nowadays we see that in the name of freedom, the family is becoming a subject of attack. I mean, by the way that some people are behaving. And this is something that the Quran is very concerned about, very much concerned about. The importance of two arbitrators, one from each family, which signifies the equal stance of man and woman in family, of the husband and the wife. They have equal standing. It's not whatever I dictate. No. If we cannot settle things between us after those measures that you have taken, then we have the equal standing. My family comes in, your family comes in. And then we will decide. And then another point that he mentions, that he actually deduces from this sentence, is increased responsibility of the relatives of the couple in supervising the healthy continuation of the family, or even the authorities. And the other thing is obligation of wife and husband to comply with the ruling of the arbitrators. And the arbitrators have the discretion to demand reconciliation or divorce if the husband agrees, if the couple actually agree. Because, as we said, according to our fiqh, they do not have the right to divorce. They only have the right to reconcile or suggest divorce. Suggest divorce. And then, if they desire reconcilement or reconciliation, Allah shall reconcile them. Now, if the pronoun they refers to the arbitrators and them to the couple, إن يريد إصلاحا يوفق الله بينهما. If the arbitrators, now here, because the pronouns could be interpreted differently, let's say that if the arbitrators intend to bring reconciliation, and يوفق الله بينهما, Allah will reconcile between them, bring harmony, refers to the wife and husband. Now, in this case, what we understand, the good intention of the arbiters for reconciliation is instrumental for reconciliation. Otherwise, if the families come together with animosity, with a sense of revenge, retaliation, this doesn't work, of course. And the verse is very explicit about that. The good intention of the arbiters is a cause for God's grace, for God's will for reconciliation. This is where human hearts affects the higher realm and brings down the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, if we say that the pronoun they refers to the couple and them to the arbitrators, if the couple intend to have reconciliation. And then, of course, Allah will bring harmony by the arbitrators. The arbitrators will succeed in that. And in this case, he says the good intention of the wife and husband is instrumental in the success of the arbitrators. Very interesting. I mean, we can just put these different possibilities and see how different concepts and fresh ideas come in. If both pronouns they and them refer to the couple, and yurida islah, if the couple really want reconciliation, and if they have that intention, then Allah will bring harmony to their hearts. So now, if both they and them refer to the couple, Allah's help and support for removing family disputes depend on their own good intention for reconciliation. Many a time it happens that the bitterness comes because of the bitterness of our heart. Discord in the family comes because our heart carries grudge. If we remove that, then it's removed. Peace and reconciliation between wife and husband happens due to the succor of Allah. That's very clear. And intention of the couple for change of behavior is a condition to receive Allah's tawfiq. Another thing that we can, of course, understand from this verse and different sentences. Indeed, Allah is all-knowing, all-aware. What we can understand from that, the divine legislation regarding the family and relationship of the couples is based on comprehensive and penetrating knowledge of Allah. And that God is aware of all intentions and inner drives of human beings. And it's only by the goodwill that He would bring about the harmony. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين.